What is going down, faithful? Welcome back to another video. So in this video, I was going to cover this video earlier. I ended up having to do some stuff. So the 49ers have a new defensive line coach. They have hired Kris Kocurek as a defensive line coach now. We ended up firing Jeff Zaganina. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. Scanina. That's how you pronounce it. Jeff Scanina. We ended up firing him, parting ways with him, and bringing in Kris Kocurek as a defensive line coach. So, a little quick background on Kris Kocurek. 2018, just his previous year, he was the Miami Dolphins defensive line coach, and then obviously they kind of cleaned the house, fired their coordinators, fired their head coach Adam Gase, and then that was previously, and then previously from working with Miami, he worked with the Detroit Lions from 2009 to 2017, 8 years with the Detroit Lions. So, obviously, he was there when, he helped Ndamukong Suh, become one of those stud defensive linemen back when Suh was with Detroit. And also, not only did he help him do that, but Ziggy Ansah, who's going to be a free agent this offseason, he helped kind of like evolve him into a top-notch player. So I like this move, I really do, because it's always good to, we fired our strength and conditioning coach, Ray Wright. We fired our head medical staff trainer, and we kind of cleared houses on stuff that needs to be done. With the injuries we've had, it's always good to fire your strength and conditioning coach, bring in somebody else, bring in somebody new. A lot of people wanted to see Justin Smith, the former Niners defensive lineman, to take this job, and I would have loved that. As you guys know, Justin Smith was on our Super Bowl team, and we had Aldon Smith, guys like Ian Williams, Ray McDonald, just a stacked defensive line. And a lot of people want to see him come to the Niners to coach our D-line, and I wouldn't have been mad at all. I think that would have been a great move, the Cowboy Justin Smith. But, this guy, Kris Kocurek, a lot of people also want to bring back Jim Tomsula to coach the defensive line. And honestly, at the end of the day, Kris Kocurek is known as to be one of the best defensive lineman coaches in the National Football League. So bringing in guys like that have that title to their name is always good, is always great for your D-line. So we'll see what he can do with guys like Solomon Thomas, DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, who I could see definitely Eric Armstead being traded within the coming years. But guys that what's his name? DJ Jones is another one. So I'd like to see how Kris Kocurek can kind of go about our defensive line and try to help them get better, because he definitely needs to focus on Solomon Thomas, because Solomon Thomas was a 3rd overall pick in the 2017 draft in the first round, thinking this guy's going to be somewhat of a superstar. But he's just been a complete bust. I mean, He's completely been no good at the D line position. We moved him into the interior. He was playing DN, and we kind of switched him to the defensive tackle. But he just really hasn't did nothing. I mean, you would think when you draft a defensive lineman like that in the first round, you would think he'd somewhat be a help to your team. You'd think he'd somewhat rack up sacks, and you'd think he'd somewhat make a Pro Bowl by now. But, I mean, I don't know, but we'll see what Kris Kocurek can do. Like I said, he's currently one of the best defensive line coaches in National Football. So we'll see what he can do. We'll see if he can, help our D-line grow, get better. We'll see what he can do with DeForest Buckner leading forward. By far, DeForest Buckner's our best D-lineman. I mean, hands down. But I don't know. It's always good to, bring in guys like that. It's always good to kind of part ways with some coaches, bring in other coaches and see what they can do. It's always good to, fire coaches that don't do as good as you think they would have did. and bring in somebody new and keep doing that until you find the right guy for that position at the coach or at the coaching position. So great hire. I mean, like I said, he's currently, according to a lot of people, one of the best defensive line coaches in the league. So we'll see if that's actually true, and we'll see what he can do with the Niners. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is the thing I like about this hiring the best. Ziggy Ansah is a free agent. He worked with Ziggy Ansah in Detroit for years, since Ziggy Ansah was drafted. And according to a lot of Detroit Lions fans and other sources around the league, he had a great relationship with Ziggy Ansah, or Ziggy Ansah, however you say his last name. But why is this a good move? Because Kris Kocurek worked with Ziggy Ansah in Detroit, and that could possibly, lure Ziggy Ansah to maybe look at the Niners and say, okay, well, my former defensive line coach was there. I worked well with him. He helped me evolve into the player I am today, so why not go with him and keep building off of him? That's a very big plus because we also need to address the pass rush, and Ziggy Ansah, a lot of Niners fans wanted him last season, but he got franchise tagged by Detroit. We'll see what happens, though. I could see him getting franchise tagged again. I don't think, unless he's already been franchise tagged twice. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I only think Ziggy Ansah has been franchise tagged once, and that was last season. So we could be in a position to get Ziggy Ansah in free agency, too, considering that there's a connection between Kocurek and Ziggy Ansah. So we'll see what happens, but that'd be major, because then we'd have, Ziggy Ansah, DeForest Buckner, and possibly even have that second overall pick in the draft, depending on if we end up trading Antonio Brown and depending on what we throw for Antonio Brown. But it's always good to address the pass rush. It's always good to address the defensive line. But Ziggy Ansah would be a very big pickup. And I think that the Niners could be in a possible good situation if we can land Kris Kocurek. Or we've already landed him, but if we can kind of lure Ziggy Ansah coming in. Because as it's seeming like Ziggy Ansah loved Kocurek in Detroit, and that's always a big plus, especially when you have a defensive line who's a free defensive lineman, especially a superstar like Ziggy Ansah, who can come into this Niners team and just not turn it around, but turn that defense, and he could be the fuel to the fire on the defense, especially the defensive line and the pass rush. So great hire. And like I said, that's the major plus about hiring Kocurek was because the Ziggy Ansah connection that he has, working with Ziggy Ansah since he was drafted and working in Detroit for 8 years. So we'll see what happens. But other than that, great hire. Love the hire. Hopefully we can lure in Ziggy Ansah, knowing that his former defensive line coach is in the Bay Area, and all this hype going into next season, all this hype with Antonio. But hopefully it all works out and we can get Ansah. But I don't know. I can see Detroit either franchise tagging him again if he hasn't been franchise tagged twice, or sign him to a max deal. But it's always good to have that connection. So we'll see what happens. But great hire. And with that being said, it's 9J49. And as always, go Niners.